wise man once said that there are only two things in life that are certain: death and taxes. And in today's video, we are going to talk about the taxes part of this because this is my Financial Friday special because we are only 1 month away from good old tax day, April 15th. And today I'm going to talk about how you, yes, you, can do your taxes yourself. I know it sounds scary. Trust me, I have been a self filer for the past 10 years, and I want to give you some tips to help you do the best and get your refund without having to pay somebody else to file your taxes for you. Before we talk about that, hi y'all, my name is Brooke, and on my channel, I like to talk about all things lifestyle and finance. So in this video, I want to help you with your taxes. Am I a licensed CPA? I am not. I'm just a girl on the internet. So, this is just for educational purposes only, and your miles may vary. So, keep that in mind as we go through. Like I said, I have been doing my taxes for the past 10 years. So, I'm going to give you some of my tried and true tips, and I've adjusted this strategy over the years to help myself get the maximum amount that I can get back. Now, a caveat: if you have a complicated tax situation, let's say you have a business or you are a contractor, 1099, so self employed, your taxes will be a little bit more complicated. When you're a 1099 employee, I do think you can still self file. When I worked a 1099 contract job, I was teaching English to students in China, and I did my filing myself. So you can still do it that way. But if you feel uncertain about filing with a 1099, then one thing that I recommend is actually filling out the paperwork yourself, because I think the biggest lesson you can learn is how to do your taxes yourself and then consult with a tax professional. And this could actually cost a lot less than just having the tax professional do it for you all. So you can go to like your local H&R Block and you can consult with a tax professional, pay them a flat fee for an hour of their time to go over your taxes. They can give you any advice, what you've done, make sure that all of your work is good, and then you can go ahead and file. And then you didn't have to pay for the expensive fees of having someone file on your behalf. So that is one thing. Additionally, there are a lot of resources out there if you are low income and need tax assistance. Some local libraries and community centers have people that will come in on a volunteer basis and help with taxes. They are a mix of certified tax professionals as well as volunteers who have taken exams and trained to help people file their taxes, and that is a completely free service. So if that is something that you need, definitely do some of your own research in your local area to see what is out there. But I've heard of several different programs like this, and they help people on a wide spectrum of income ranges. So make sure that you do a little bit of Googling if you need help with that, and you can find somebody in your local area who will help you with your taxes. So for the rest of you who want to dive into doing your own taxes this year, let me go through 3 tips that will help you out this tax season. Firstly, did you know that you can actually file your taxes for free? Like free, not like TurboTax on their like dumb ads free. Excuse me. My voice is still out of commission a little bit. I'm getting over a cold, so please forgive all of this snottiness and things like that. But this is important stuff to know. So, yeah, you can file your taxes for free. And as someone who has been in the tech industry for over 7 years and has worked in a UX capacity, I want to tell you that TurboTax does some shady stuff. If you like Hassan Minhaj, I love Hassan Minhaj, and I loved his Netflix show, Patriot Act, and they did cancel it. So sad. I loved it, but he did a great episode on how TurboTax is not actually free, and they actually do a lot of things that are known as dark patterns in UX, where they're trying to get you basically into a place where you don't know that you can click the no, I don't want to pay, and go through that option. And so there's been a lot of like lawsuits about this and everything like that. It is not cool that TurboTax is doing that. So I don't recommend using them because they have been bad actors in the past, and I don't like to give businesses a second chance to redeem themselves when they've done that in the past. What they were offering was actually a service that came about in the early 2000s, and it is along with the IRS. It's the IRS Free File Program, and it's where the IRS made agreements with certain online tax softwares, including TurboTax, to allow people in the US under a certain adjusted gross income the ability to file their taxes for free online. And so when you were signing up for that, you were under the impression that it was going to be completely free to file your federal taxes. And then you go through all of the screens, you fill out all of your information, and then at the end it says, actually, you owe us $150 to do that. And again, that's because of the dark patterns. If you go onto the IRS website and search for their free file program, you will get a link directly to the softwares that they are working with in this agreement. And it will tell you the income threshold that you need. I think that income threshold changes year by year, so check it out. But in for this tax filing year, if your adjusted gross income is 89,000 or under, you can use all of those softwares for free that the government has contracted out with them to allow them to use the program. Make sure though, when you're going through it, if you see a thing that says, need help with a pro, like a pop-up that says that and is like, oh yeah, all you need to do is add on $15.99, you can click no. They will make the no button very small because they want you to click the yes button. They want your money, but click the no button. Nothing will happen. Everything will go about. You'll go through the other things and that kind of stuff, but don't let TurboTax and all of these businesses do you wrong by not letting you file for free. Now, if your adjusted gross income is above that threshold, like mine is, you can fill out forms and send them in through the good old snail mail. Will it take longer for your tax refund to get to you because it will take a while for that to go through the mail? Yes. Also, now on the website, you can fill out e-file forms of all of the IRS tax forms, and it looks like you have an option to email them now, and then they will take it through email as long as you attach all of your documents to that email. So that's pretty cool. So that is another free option. It does not cost you anything. Another great service is to use Free Tax USA. This is not a sponsored video. I promise you, it's not a sponsored video. I have just been a loyal customer of them for the past 4 years. I think that they do a really good job of explaining everything, especially if you have interesting tax situations and you need to know, oh, do I need to file like this special form or something like that? They will give you all that information, and it's really an easy website to use. I've used it for the past 4 years, like I said, and I've not had any issues. And it is free to file your federal return with them. The way that they make money is they can upsell you on getting like a tax pro to look over your taxes or other services. Like if you get an audit, they will defend you for your audit. They do charge you to file your state return. They do charge a flat $15.99 fee to do your state taxes. So if you're like me and you live in a state that has state income tax, you will have to also fill out your state taxes, and you can file through them $15.99 per state. If you live in one state and you make money in a different state, you do have to file taxes for both of those states, and so you would have to pay $15.99 for each one, but that's the only thing that they will charge you, and you won't get any other like fees or anything like that on top of that. So I find their business model to be ethical. I find their business model to be very easy to understand. Do all of your research, but file your taxes for free. Do not let TurboTax get you with a $200 plus bill just to file your taxes that you could have filed for free. Secondly, do you get a large tax refund every year? This may not actually be a good thing. So if you have been watching other finance channels for a while, you probably have heard that getting a tax refund at the end of the year is not good, because it actually means that what you're doing is you're letting the government borrow your money and make interest on that money over the time that they have it, and then just send you back your refund at the end of the year. I have some accountant professionals in my life, and they say that their ultimate goal, and they work with like big corporations, the ultimate goal of taxes is that you want your refund to be as close to zero as possible, because that means you've optimized it so that you're getting the max amount of money each month coming back to you without having to wait till the end of the year. I talked about this in my video last week when I did our tax refund breakdown, and some people see this as a good forced saving mechanism. But if you are graduating from that and you understand a little bit about your money psychology, about how to set up your systems to work for you, then definitely try and work on making sure that your refund is as small as possible. The main way that you do this is to adjust your withholding. When you get a job, whether that be part time work, full time work, whatever, you have to fill out what is known as a W 4. So, your W 2 is going to be the one that you get in the mail or in your inbox or anything like that at the end of January, early February, that will show you how much money you made throughout the whole previous year. Your W 4 is the paperwork that you have to fill out to give to your employer. And did you know that you can actually change the information that you have on your W 4 throughout the year? A lot of companies now use HR software, but if you don't know how to get to changing your W 4, email your HR person and they can give you that information about how to do that. So I'm going to put up on the screen what a W 4 looks like so you can understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this form. But basically, what it will ask you is what kind of filing are you doing? So in the US, you have a few different types of filing you can do. You can do single, you can do married filing jointly, which means both you and your spouse are going to file a single tax return, and you have head of household. And then it will ask you if you would like to take any deductions. You just say the dollar amount of deduction you want to take. And so let's say for easy math that you get back a $10,000 refund. That is a lot of cash that you could have used throughout the year, made interest on it in your own high yield savings account, and put it to work for you. So, what you would do is you would take that $10,000 and divide it by how many pay periods you get. And that would be the deduction amount that you would put in here so that when you get your monthly check, you would get more money in that because you're no longer having the government take out extra money on you. Now, if you're like me and you don't have a lot of deductions, like I don't have a very high house mortgage, I don't have any children or dependents, I actually do extra withholding because usually what I do is I will sell things that will cause me to have capital gains taxes, all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that in the next point. But I will have things that will be a taxable event that will not be taxed on the front end. And it usually means that my tax bill, I will owe taxes. So if you are in that boat where you owe taxes, you can go ahead and say that you want to have extra money taken out of each paycheck so that at the end of the year you don't have to pay anything back. So if you're getting a large refund, think about updating your withholding. You can change it at any time. Depending on when in the pay cycle you update that information, though, your new paycheck may not reflect that. It might take a couple of cycles to reflect that difference. It will eventually change and update. All right, we got to wrap this thing up because my voice not going to last much longer, but let's go. The third tip is around company stock grants. Now, this trips up people a lot, which is honestly kind of surprising to me. This could actually cause your tax bill to be way higher than it needs to be. So make sure that if you fall into this camp of you have RSUs, you have an employee stock purchasing program, that you take this into account, okay? Because it's going to save you lots of tax money. First of all, I made a whole video last year about what are RSUs, ESPP, all that good stuff. So make sure to check in the card above. That'll tell you all this. Now, this has nothing to do with your retirement plans, okay? So your 401k, your IRA, we're not talking about that. We are talking about basically bonuses that companies give to employees to incentivize them to stay. So extra stocks, all that good stuff. When you get a restricted stock unit or RSU, a lot of times many companies will go ahead and do what is known as sell to cover, STC. And sell to cover just basically means that when those stocks get vested, they're going to sell a portion off to pay for your tax liability. And they're just going to base it based off of a baseline rate. So that baseline rate, I think in the US is like 22%. But if you are making like $300,000, $400,000 a year, yours will be much higher, like in the highest tax bracket of 37%. So some companies will allow you to change your sell to cover percentage so that it can be higher and you make sure that you don't have a huge tax bill. Additionally, if you live in a state that has state income tax, you will also be paying state income tax on these stocks. So change your number if they have that for your sell to cover. That's one piece of this. Make sure your sell to cover is as accurate as possible so that that will help lower your tax burden. Secondly, when you sell company stock, sometimes your company's stock, whenever you go and sell it, on this form that you will get, it's called the 1099B, and it's basically income that is coming from your investments. They will list out all of the stocks that you sold, how much you made, and what that cost was. When it comes to RSUs, because those are granted to you by your company as an incentive, those will oftentimes show a cost basis of $0. But let's say that when you got these RSUs, you got 3 RSUs, and each RSU was worth $100, but the cost basis said $0. So when you go to put that information into your taxes, they are going to assume that that meant you made $100 off of each of those stocks. So they would be taxing you for the $300 that you made off of those stocks. However, that's because they don't have the cost basis. So what you have to do is what is known as adjusting the cost basis of your RSUs. So how you get this information is in your 1099B, you will get a form called 1099B supplemental. And this is just information to help you find that cost basis. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through, you're going to put in each of your stock cells, and then in the free tax software, you can click this little button that says, I need to adjust my cost basis. And other companies also have that on their online forms. If you're doing the paper route, you're going to have to make sure that you find the correct forms. There's a ton of different form numbers. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, so make sure you do your own research about that, but make sure that you get all of the correct forms and you click the right button or you put in the right button. And so then what you'll do is you will add in your adjusted cost basis, which, like I said, can be found on your 1099B supplemental form. Going back to that example, if you got three stocks from your company and they were worth $100 a piece, and you adjusted your cost basis to show that they were worth $95 at the time that your company gave them to you, that means instead of saying that you made $300 off of the sale of those stocks, you actually just made $15. And so getting taxed on $15 versus $300 is going to save you a ton of money. So don't skip that. Make sure you read your 1099B supplemental information because that can save you a ton. And a lot of times when I do this online, oftentimes you will see, on the top, it'll say, this is how much you're going to get back from federal and your state, or this is how much you owe. And if you adjust your cost basis correctly, then you will see that number change, and hopefully in a positive way if you owe less or you get a bigger refund. So don't skip that step. That's a very important step to remember. All right, so that is all of my tax advice for this video, but I just want to let you all know that you got this. You can do your own taxes. I promise you, you can do it. Most people do not have complicated situations. And if you're going through an online service, H&R Block, TurboTax, Free Tax USA, make sure to click the no when they try to upsell you on things. Don't let them get any of your extra money than you need to. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Down below, comment with the money symbol so that I know that you watched all of this, and let me know, have you filed your taxes yet, and what is your refund? And as always, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, y'all.